I don't know if you have noticed it, but the colors have changed. They are more greenish and more natural colors going around. And you don't see the night shades yet, but let me show how to do it. Okay, so we're going to select this area, the EMA layer. We're going to work first with a more detailed pattern, and I'll show you how to transfer that to the rest of the more detailed object, and I'm going to show you how to do that to the other two, because we are not going to use Photoshop, and I'll explain in a minute why not. Okay, we come here, which is the material property area, is where we tell how to manage the texture. And what it says here, MSFS, obviously Microsoft Flight Simulator material parameters, which material mode is disabled, we are going to create MSF standard. We're going to select this one. And then the material disappear, the color disappear. Don't worry about that, it becomes white. So now we get the mesh, the forms without any color. Okay, we have this, again, this menu that we fiddled with it before. I'm going to show you that the parameters are always the same ones. Our metallic is around 200, around, you can play with it. Specular is 0, roughness is maximum, and that's it. And then here, in this area, is where you are going to tell the system how it's going to play the light colors and the light colors. So this is the normal colors, the ones it's going to play, like the texture, how it's going to play the texture. So we want full, we want 1, because we want it to be played perfectly. And then the emissive color is how it's going to emit light. So we're going to give it not much, because otherwise it will be too bright. So let's put, for example, 200. Okay, 0 to 100. Okay. And now I'm going to use the textures we have created. So for the albedo, which is the normal colors, we select the same as before. Niemeyer load 0, 0. So now it's going to give us the normal colors as we saw them before. Okay, and sometimes you will notice that it has a bit of a glowness. I mean, you can tell it here. It's like a milky thing. It's because the system is expecting to have a layer of light, and because it doesn't have any, it's playing a white by default. So we're going to create here the emissive layer, is this one. We're going to open the one we create night. So we double click on it, and now it becomes to the normal light emission, which is none, except for these areas that you don't see them much yet. But if I play the emissive or a bit more, okay, you will see them. It will be more noticeable at night. You see, there is light here, 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 and a bit here, okay, in this thing. Now you see that there's just white light, but how is going to be played? Well, if we select here in the rendering engine the EVI, because this one is the one that shows the lights better, we go back to the emissive color and we put them in the normal parameters, which is 0, 2. And we play here the rendering view spot. This is what is going to be seen at night. This one is not clear because it's a bit here, but anyway, this is how it's going to look at night without light. Okay, it's not very, massively improved, and you may think, well, it's not worthy all the effort. But when you're dealing with areas with a lot of windows, it is noticeable. Okay, so I'm going to bother to do it here just for showing it, because this particular model doesn't require much light, and we're going to do other lights as well. But just for showing purposes, I'm going to do it and I'm going to transfer that to the other ones. So how we transfer this layer to this and this? Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place in the normal, albedo layer, I'm going to select the night as well. So now I ended with this night texture as the normal texture. I hide this, I select the second stage, go back to material properties again, and remove the color. Okay, it doesn't matter because we have a copy, the PNG file from before. I'm going to come here to shadow editor. So this form has no color now, and we create a new one. Add texture, image, new one. We call it, for example, not for example, I always use the same system, so I don't have problems. Niemeyer, night LOD 01. You don't need to adhere to any particular size, but we're going to stay with the same for this one. And now we just simply transfer this emissive to this one with the control left, bake. Oh, the render engine again to cycles. Okay, the parameters are the same again, and we're going to bake. Takes us a few seconds. So now it's transferring just the night shades to the night texture to this model. Now we hide this one. And when you see this, when you link them, you see that it has exactly the same lights as the previous one. Okay, I mean, you see them a bit weird. It has this color, it's because these elements, the specular is up, so that's how it should be looked. But it doesn't matter because this is not recorded, and we're going to do one last step. So I know that this is done. So now I come back to UV editor, select here edit mode, click here, and then in the image, and select the file. In image, I save it as Niemeyer light LOD PNG. So I make a copy or a transfer from this one to this one. Okay, so now it can be hide, and we repeat the process with the last one. Coming back to shade editor, we remove everything. You can remove it just deleting here, but it's easier to come here and boom, materials out. New material, add texture, image, new. We call it Niemeyer Noche LOD 02. And now we're going to give them 512. 512. The alpha here is not needed because it's going to, I mean, you don't have to remove it because it's going to be blank. It's to do an specular. So It's just if play something black, it's going to tell the system don't play any light. So that's what we want. So we do that. And now we do the transfer. From here to here, we do a bake. We hide this one. We link them. And then you have, again, a texture. There is something here. It's not correctly done. It's not correctly done for some reason. Sometimes happens. Let me check the parameters. If there is a mistake like this, I don't know why, what happened. I'm going to delete it again and do it again. Okay, this is because we unlink everything, but we didn't unlink the material. Okay, let me do it again. And I'm going to do one small change. Okay. I do everything the same. Add texture. No, it's not this one. So add texture, image, new, Niemeyer, notch LOD 02. Keeps the same. I don't know if this needs to be click, I think. I don't know. Let's try. I'm going to bake again, and how this works is that this is the distance. For example, imagine you have two objects. One is in this place and the other is in this place. It's going to transfer the color from this one to this one, or this one to this one. Oh, sorry, you don't see my hands. Imagine that they are not exactly the same place, so they are 1 meter apart. It's going to try to apply what is in an area to another area to a distance. So what I'm saying here is everything that is more than 10 centimeters don't apart from the first original to the second, don't paint it. Only paint everything that corresponds in that area to a 10 centimeters difference. Normally, when we did this in the previous examples, the two models were exact. But this time, because we have been fiddling with them, the most detailed one is not as exact as this one. So I'm going to put the ray distance because we don't need precision 1 meter, and see if it fixes it. Okay. In the previous one was not needed because they were very close, but this one maybe is closer. Okay, let's bake. It doesn't really matter that much because it's going to be the most the less detailed area. So now it's better. Okay, it has the colors there, the lights, and the lights we had before here. Okay, so now we go here to the UV editor, select edit mode, and we have image to save Niemeyer Noche LOD. It's creating this extension because we did 2 copies, but you can remove it. We're going to reload them anyway. Okay, save image. The contain tag 00. It must contain. Okay, never mind, because we're going to save it again. Okay, ask us to keep that thing. Save image. Doesn't matter. What I'm going to do is I'm externally changing the name because we don't actually need anything. Okay, so now we have created the 3 files with the 3 colors. Okay, so now we're going to apply the same as here. So let's go back to the first one. This one, remember, when we were doing the transfer, we move here, we remove the albedo, and we place here the night, so we have been able to transfer to the other files. So what we're going to do now is we're going to give it back. Okay, so we're going to have the, there's a mistake here because, oh, night, I call it night, the number one, and noche, that's why the order is different. But this one is work as a PSD for some reason. So it works as a PSD. I don't have a PNG. I use a PSD and works like a, okay. I didn't save it as a PNG. Okay, I'll fix that in a problem. But as you can see, a Photoshop file also works with Blender, but it has a lot of data. So I'm going to fix that in a second. Okay, anyway, I have all of them now. I'm going to do some arrangements now. So now we can close this. We can close this entirely. We don't need to save. I will save it, but we don't need to save it anyway because we have the PNGs already stored. So I'm going to go back to where the files are just to fix that problem I just saw. Projects. Okay, this is the one in which the night texture is, and I'm going to save it as a PNG that I forgot to do. Okay, Niemeyer Noche LOD00. I'm going to save it. And now that I have everything, then the day one, you can call it daylight if you want. The number 2 and number 3, and I'm going to change the name. It doesn't matter if you change the name because we're going to reapply them all now. I'm going to call it Noche just to be, just to have the same name for everything. Okay. You don't need this one because this one is a copy of the other one. And actually this is the Niemeyer normal, the one I want to keep as a PSD. Okay. So we have one PNG, another PNG for day, and then another 3 for night. I'm going to remove this extension that is not needed. Okay, so we go back to the Blender. Some of the files are going to be without a color because I changed the names, but it's not a big problem. What I'm coming here is to the same area, the material properties. I already selected MSF standard for the more detailed one, and I'm going to apply the PNGs that we were working with. So the daylight, the first one, you see it has a strange color now. And the night is the night. PNG night. Okay, so that's it. I changed the name before, so that's why it was showing a bit orangey because that was the by default color. Okay, so we created this one. You can come here if you want and select metallic. Roughness was by default. There is another thing we have to do. On the bottom, we're going to press here date and night cycle. So the two textures, or the emissive texture, will only work at night. And also here, gameplay parameters, collision material, so things will crash into it, or you can land helicopters or whatever. Okay, save this area, and then we can hide this one and open the second one, and the same thing. We come here, that we had it disabled by default before, So standard, it cleans everything. This can be closed now, we don't need that window. And again, metallic 0.2, specular nothing, roughness maximum. And then here, emissive color, we're working with 0.2. Albedo, we have the LOD1 and emissive LOD1 for the night. Okay, and you see colors and night emissions and everything. Okay. So I'm using the other rendering, but takes a lot of. Okay, so that's done. Save. And the last one, we do exactly the same. We come here. Sometimes if you don't see this, click on the file, otherwise on the model, otherwise it will not highlight the new standard, MSF standard, and again, metallic 20.02, specular 0, roughness maximum, emissive color 0.2, albedo, open it, and we are in the load 0.2, and emissive, open, and then night texture. And that's it. We're going to do one last thing. That is, this is the one who is going to be seen like from this distance. So we don't care if there is a bit of rough or the colors are not seen. So anyway. So now we're going to finish adding some lights, proper lights that illuminate the building. We're going to put a light, for example, here in this area and in the parking area as well. And how to do that? We just add light, and we can add a point, a sun that is just if you want to illuminate as daylight. We don't want that. Spot or an area. So I'm going to start with an area. Okay, it gives me this object. I'm going to move to this scene, and I'm going to click on it and select movement, and I'm going to tell sorry, it's the other one. Can I put it? Oh, it's by order. Okay. There is a way of locking a layer, which is this restriction. This is not selected, I think. Okay, so I cannot select it now. You see, cannot select it, so no problem. So let's move the light to this area. We can zoom to work with lights. And we can go up. You see the icon. To work with lights, the best is going very quickly, going to render engine and select, instead of cycles, heavy, and then select this, and you will see the light working. You don't see the spot right now, because if we come here to this menu, to the light, it's just 10 watts, which is not enough. Let's put 1000 watts, and now you see the light. So you want an area illuminated. For example, here, because this is an area of the building that can be illuminated next to the here, for example, you see that area. You can create a bigger size or a smaller size. Let's put 15 meters. so it's a bit more diffuse. Okay, like this. And let's give it less intensity. Let's give it 500 watts. Okay, you can also change the color. I'll give it any tone you want. We're going to give it white, keep it white. Okay, and I'm going to create another one, for example, in the other corner. Yes, copy and paste. And then the second one, we're going to move it to, for example, here. You can rotate it if you want. Or make it, oh, bigger and smaller. Oh, look, didn't know that. Ah, the size can be done here. And you can rotate it as well. But it's supposed to be a light, but it's round anyway. So you can create more or less size of the light. And let's put another one here in this area. Copy and paste. I will move this one to this corner here. Okay, we have 3 lights here. And now also we're going to do another light that is going to illuminate this area here. And we're going to do it with, instead of this type of light, we are going to do a point. You can add one, or just simply copy one that is already there. Quicker. Paste it, select, and let's move it here. This light, for example, here in that area. Okay, here, from here, and we're going to change it to a point. Sorry, not a point, a spot. You see the spot, what it does is projects a spot of light to an area. So right now it's not illuminating because it's not enough power, and I want to illuminate that area. We can get it closer to the ground, so it looks like there is a lamp there. And I'm going to, the radius is going to be 1 meter per hour for now, you see here, and we're going to put 5,000 watts, and you see it's illuminating this area here. Let's make it a bit bigger. Let's make it 2 meters. And let's make it 15,000 watts. Let's make it more open. Okay, and now we have our lights selected. We're going to do a last one. I'm going to do a point. I'm going to add a light, which is going to be a point, and we're going to put it here on top of this building. I'm going to make it 100 watts. Okay. And it's going to coincide with this antenna. and it's going to have a red color. Okay, radius, let's do 1 meter. And I think it can have I remember there is a way of doing it rotating. Okay, never mind. I'm going to add this here and the point here. And if I remember correctly, there was a way of making it rotate and do other things, but now I can't remember where to do that. This is the point, the area. I can't remember, but I thought there was a way of adding it. Anyway, so that's what we have. Our area is finished with all the lights and everything. And the only thing we need to do is all these three areas and the point, we're going to copy and paste in the three. So it will be included in all the three elements. Okay, and then the last part of the process is just exporting the files. So now we're going to first save. And now we're going to export with this format, extended GLTF to MSF. And we're going to place it in this folder we created at the beginning inside package sources, Avilés model lib. Inside there is already a texture file folder, and together with this folder we are going to create a new folder which are we going to call Avilés _ Niemeyer. And then we will record the file that we were going to create inside. Okay, we're going to give it a name. It's going to be called Niemeyer. Okay, like it. And then we're going to fill these things. The textures are going to be in the previous folder you just saw. So /texture in singular. I keep making the mistake of putting an S at the end. Texture. Remember settings, so you don't have to re-put this if you have to redo the whole recording. Batch export load, yes, because we're going to export 3 different level of detail. Generate XML, yes, because we want to generate an XML and it's going to be called Niemeyer. It has to have the same name you place here. Generate GUID, it does it automatically. If you don't know what it is, this is a number that identifies the file you're creating that is needed. It's a very good practice that is here, because otherwise you will have to create them some other places. Include select objects and custom properties, transform, geometry, apply modifiers, nothing else. And that's it. Remember that because you are going to export what is selected, you have to come here before exporting and select everything with the A. Okay, A, everything is selected. Now export. It's going to take this square appears. It's going to take a few seconds, and I will save it. So it saves all the parameters of export parameters. And now we can close it. But before closing it, well, I can close it now. Closing, and I'm come here to where do I have my custom scenery, and in this folder that I create package sources, there has to be in the texture. Well, for some reason there is only 3. The LOD00 is not recorded for some reason, so I don't know if I didn't select it or not. The LOD is here, everything is here, but not the textures for LOD00 are not there. So you see, I spotted a mistake. What the problem is, I go back to Blender. What the problem was. Everything is selected. Okay, let me hide this. Like this. Ah, that is unselectable. Okay, remember that we were fiddling with it. I unselected it. You see, I spotted a mistake. Okay, now it's selectable. It was unselectable, so when I select everything, it didn't select that particular area, so it was not exporting it. Okay, so that's why you record your exporting things. Export again. You have to tell again what it is. It's not in projectors. Remember that this is where you create, you have your raw files. I created another one called custom scenery, package sources. This is where the 3 are. It changes the name for the lots, but it doesn't matter. We're going to export it here. You can delete them if you want. This is the name we're going to give. Delete this one. And delete this one. Okay, I check very quickly that all the elements are the same. Haven't changed anything. And now, I select everything this time. Check that everything is selected. And now export the textures and everything here. It's going to take a bit longer because the first, I was a bit surprised it was so quick, a few seconds. That's why I was suspicious. Usually takes a bit more than a few seconds. Okay, now we're going to go back, save again. And now you have it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Daylight, 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 nightlight, nightlight, and nightlight. Okay, so you have all the textures correct. So what we're going to do here finally is we're going to open the simulator and work there with our model. But before that, one last change. The LOD creates a policy to when to load, or a rule, a set of rules when to load the files, and it does it by default. Okay, so we come in here in custom scenery again, package sources, and in the XML with a notepad or any other tool that you want, this is telling, this number is telling the software when to load the file. So by default, it gives you an 8 and a 4. Replace the 8 for a 50 and a 4 for a 25. And it will give you a more logic progression when you are loading the file, okay, in the software. When it displays it, when it shows it in the simulator, which of the three is showing according to the distance you are from that point. Okay, let's open the simulator now and see how it works inside. We are now in the flight simulator with the development mouse on. We go to the world map. We select the area we want to transform, which is here. We take any plane. Take something that it doesn't take long to load. And we select this point more or less. This is where the place I'm going to change is. We take clear sky so we can see properly what we're doing. Set as departure and fly. Okay, we're now ready to fly. So the first thing we're going to do is in options, we're going to pause the simulation. We're going to click ready to fly, My track IR. And now we remove this, we don't need it. With camera, we go to develop camera. With the WSAD, we move the direction. With the left alt key and the mouse, we can change the orientation of the view. With the wheel, we can zoom in and out, and with the F, we can go down. This is the area I'm going to work with now, which is kind of nicely done, but I'm going to create to make it better. This is the area in Spain. I'm going to work in the north of Spain. This is Salinas, and this is Avilés, which has an industrial port where this famous museum or thing is, Niemeyer, which is here in this corner of the riverbanks. It's not badly done, as you can see. Okay, it more or less looks what it is. As you can see, they have done the algorithm has done a really nice job, to be honest. But we're going to import our model here and see how it blends. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open the new project. The open project, sorry, is already existed already. It exists because it's what we have created. We go to where it is located. Custom scenery, Avilés, and we open the XML that is there. Just going to open it. Here we click in View Inspector. This is the information that it has, and we're going to build a package. It's going to take some time, not much because it doesn't have many things. You will see some errors which has to do with how the name is done, which is not a big deal. Okay, info without a key or the wrong key, file to load. Okay, but there is some files that may be not there, but it's not a big deal. So now we're going to go here. You see that in this arrow you can open my scene and my model lib, and we're going to go to my scene and we're going to load in editor. And it's going to open several other windows. Like, it depends how you have it selected, but let's close all of them because the only thing that I need right now is this in this scenery editor. I'm going to view objects, and it's going to make me a list of all the objects that are in the simulator. So view objects, and then what I need in the filter is to put the word it doesn't load it. Let me see if I near. Oh, I put it like Niemeyer. I didn't call it Aviles Niemeyer. I will call it Niemeyer. Okay, never mind. So I look for it, and I click on it and add, and you see my model is already in the map. Now I put this in the other screen, the inspector. I don't close anything. I just put them in the second screen, so I can work, or you can put them here if you want. And the scenery director here. The only thing I need for the moment is the gizmo. Here in the scenery editor, I will open the gizmo for the moment to work with this file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to translate it. So I click on it. Okay. I'm going to put everything here so you can see what I'm doing. This is like the layers in the Photoshop. I can click on it, and I can now move the element in the area I want. Okay. Here, and I'm going to click rotate. I'm going to rotate it to match the area that I want. So translate. Because I use Google Earth, it's supposed to have more or less the same size that the original object. We're going to check that in a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the map, and then I'm going to click on it, and in properties, view properties, I'm going to select here this select snap to the ground. So now I can go make it going up a little. As you can see now, the area is on top of the other one, and it is, I'm trying to blend it as best as I can with the original file. So the street is here, the area is here. Okay, and it here, and it here, here, and then I go a bit down. Okay, you see that it's not perfect. It's blending much better, much nicer in all the area. Okay, the original building and this one are offset. So I'm going to, and this one is here still. I'm going to rotate it a little to see if I can fix it. Okay, this is more like it. Translate it again. So as you can see, it's working a little with the proportions, the shapes and everything. I don't think it's perfectly aligned. That is. I think my track IR is I'm going to block it. Sorry, it's making me unprecise. It's difficult to move. Sometimes it's not that precise, and the original models are not as accurate as the ones from Google Earth. Okay, I think Sometimes you have to change the shape as well, the size a little. I think this one is fitting now. Let me check the corner here. Okay. So I'm going to separate it from the. What about the? Is any gaps with the ground? It doesn't look like there is any gap here. Let me check here. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove what the simulator has created. And for that, I close the gizmo, I close the scenery editor, well, hide it, or add the properties for the moment. And I bring here this object scenery. I can remove the filter, and I can create here something called polygon. I add it, and you'll see that when I add a, why is not adding a polygon? Not adding a polygon for some reason. Give me a second. Oh yeah, I created 4. Okay, my mistake. Oh, you can rename them. We were unable to do that before. That's a very good thing. Let me check if I can rename it. Ah, fantastico! Polygon Niemeyer. This is a fantastic addition, because before it was a pain in the ass to find where they were. Polygon Niemeyer. So I can now click here. With the control left, you select the area you want to exclude. Let's show you what it is. So it's going to remove all original buildings. With the left click, you put an arrow. And double click, it ends it. So you have it here. You can now select that to hide. This is to hide. This is to deactivate. Okay. So now, if you can see, sorry, I want it to be seen. Okay, this is the polygon. What I'm going to do, I forgot to do something else. I click on it, on the polygon here, and I go to properties and select exclude all. What exclude all does is remove all the original buildings on that area. So now we end with a nice look. There, that area is a bit too deep. So we're going to work now to make it a bit more more precise now that we can see it. I'm going to, so now we don't need this anymore. We're not going to create any more polygons. Let's go to the scenery. Going to get it up a little. The Meyer. translate. So we're going to get it up a little. Okay, that will be perfect, but if we do that, you will see that that area is, so we can make some inclination to move it. Sometimes it's better to do it with the numbers here. It's a bit tricky to get it right and fit everywhere. It's very tricky. Oh shit. I know what I'm doing. That is changing all the going up. This is, from my point of view, what the developers have to work a little more, because it's very difficult to move around with the editor. Look at how this is not, you know, if you put it here in the water, it's very difficult to match the exact measurements. And when you do these movements, it's like too dramatic. I don't know how to make them move smaller, in smaller increments. This area fits good, but this area doesn't. I want to, okay, not that much. Let's put 0 here. Do bit by bit here. Pitch 0, 1 or 0, 2. No, it's the other way around. So let's make it minus 0, 2. Did I make it bigger by any chance? No? Scale is right. Sometimes if you scale it 0.01, it matches better. But I don't know what's wrong. If I rotate, it rotates very weirdly now. I just want to rotate. Look at how it rotates. Like the point of insertion is there. Not very intuitive. Okay, now it looks that I can move better. This area has to be downed. Okay, we have another trick up our sleeve. I hide it, and this thing is on the ground. Okay, we have another trick up our sleeve. We can select the polygon. I always try to do it without doing this trick. We can select the polygon, and here in properties we can click on terraforming. Which it does is flattens the area, and you can actually make it up or down and arrange it a little more. You can get it up or down. So with the trick, I think it is doing it. It is working. So now, well, the original this area is there, but not the, these things are a bit offset. I think it's because of the size. I shouldn't have scaled it. Let me remove it and then move it to this area. Yeah, and now translate it up a little more. Okay, that would be perfect. This area is perfect. Ooh, here is a bit touching the... Can I move it? Can I move it a little? Oh no, it's actually there. It's like it. What if I scale it a little? Like 9, 9, 0. Oh, sorry, not 9, 0. My mistake. 0, 9, 9. A little bit. Make it a bit smaller. I think we have to live with it, with this bit here in the middle of the road. Seems that everything else is blending rightly. Without any breaks or anything. And even we can see part of the things. No, that's correct. It's a bit of set, I think. And there is this bit in the middle of the road. But okay, I think we did as best as we can. So now we're going to zoom it out a bit. And I'm going to see how it works at night and with different textures and everything. I think the near major now looks very good. Let's remove this and hide this. So now it's unselected, show and unselect. So here, show and unselect. So let's zoom it a little so we can see a bit. We can turn to see it at night. And if we go here to options, we can see it at night. We see the night lights. I don't know how this is at night, to be honest, but you see the 3 lights we created here. The red light that maybe is too intense. Okay, the red light over there, and the night, the windows emitting some light there that is not very noticeable here, but and the other thing being illuminated here. Maybe the red light should be a bit less intense. I can correct it off camera later on, but you see how everything is done. Okay, so we have the near major now in working condition. Now the last thing we have to do is coming here to scenery director again and save the scenery. We haven't saved it yet, but what we have to do is we save it as shape files. We give it a name. We call it okay. Give me a second. I'm going to check something. We're going to save it here in package sources, and we're going to create a folder. We're going to call it, let me check the name. I don't know if it is relevant, but I'm going to check. I can remember it now if it is scene or scenery. I think it's scene, but let me be sure before doing something wrong. The name is scene. Is scene. So this is going to call scene in lowercase or in uppercase? In lowercase, and we're going to save it here. And the name we're going to give is, I think it's not relevant if I remember correctly. So we're going to give it any name. Let me check in the other. This is something you only have to do once. Yeah, it doesn't make any difference. So I'm going to call Oviedo, sorry, not Oviedo, Avilés. And this is the shape file. So we're going to call it SHP. It's not relevant the name. I'm going to keep it a shape file, save, and it's going to ask me for the scenery files. So I will call it Avilés SCN scenery. Just to remember which one is the shape and which one is the scenery. As I said, this is a convention. You can call it whatever you like. And now it's saved. So once it's saved, before we get out, before we finish, we are coming back to the project editor and click on this. And in the inspector, we can remove the properties now, we don't need them anymore. Inspector, we will build package again. Okay, it's going to take a few seconds and it's going to build the package. Let's clear all and build it again. Generating, preparing, sharing. Starting the build, finishing. Okay, so it's done now, and that's it. Now you can close the project. Project close. You can get out and get out of the. This is the final thing, by the way. Okay, we can get out my menu, and if you want to share that with your friends or whatever, the only thing you need to do now is come to, I'm going to get out from the simulator. We are going to get here to Avilés, and where it says packages, there is one created called Avilés that has the content info and the scenery with all the textures and everything. Okay. So you can add more with the same process, more files to the same model lib. I'm going to show you, for example, the one I'm doing called Oviedo, that it has in the scenery. Sorry, not that. In the package sources, it has all these areas. So it has 23 different areas being built. Imagine the time consuming that this is if it is 2-3 hours approximately every area. So this is around 600 hours of work. So, and yes, I did all of them, and that's my intention, is start doing Avilés now, bit by bit. And I have started with the Niemeyer that I think it was already done somewhere at the simulator. But I will keep updating everything. And that's it. I know it's a long process, it takes some time, but at the end of the day, the results, the impact in the simulator is minimal. If you can download my file from the town called Oviedo in the north of Spain, you have it in flightsim.to, and test it with your system, and see that even if the city is big model, I mean, it has 23 different areas, and I'm not talking about one house, I'm talking about complete neighborhoods. The impact in the simulator is not as big as when you download one of these massive renderings. And also, my files have night lights and everything. And I'm doing those videos because what I want is that people realize that the process, even if it takes longer time, the results are immensely better, in order to allow everyone to enjoy these mods. And that was it. I hope you have enjoyed the video and you learned something in the process, and I see you soon.